Most people don't have a camera problem, they have a setup problem. Bad white balance, bad lighting, and bad audio. And then they wonder why the videos still don't look good. In this video, I'm going to show you the basics that actually matters, so you can stop guessing and start getting better looking videos right away. What's up guys? If your videos still don't look the way you want, it's probably not because you need a better camera. Most of the time, it's just the basics. White balance, lighting, audio, background, and even sometimes your framing. So in this video, I want to show you the things that actually matter most, so you can skip a lot of the early mistakes and start from a much more solid base. And by no means I'm saying this is the only way to do it. There are people that know way more than me, obviously. But what I do really want to do here is share the most useful thing that I've learned over the past years in a simple way that you can actually apply. Let's start with the first thing that I think people get wrong all the time, which is white balance, even professionals. And I see this all the time. Footage that looks too blue, too green, too warm, too magenta. And the problem is, if your white balance is wrong from the beginning, then later in post you're gonna have to work harder just to get back to neutral. So my recommendation here is simple. Get a grade card. They are cheap, they work, and they help you get a much better starting point in camera, which is very important. And for me, that's the biggest benefit. You get a better base. And if you start from a better base, then color correcting, turning your S-Log footage back to Rec 709, and then grading if you want to do that kind of stuff, gets way easier. So that's step number one. And before worrying too much about everything else, get your white balance right. The next thing is get yourself a solid key light. Because if you're using your ceiling light, most of the time it's not going to look that great. You will get ugly shadows on your eyes and you don't have much control of it. And overall, it just doesn't give you the same result as using an actual video light with a modifier. And this is something that I really believe. The modifier matters a lot. Yes, the light itself is the most important thing, but I think that modifier affects the result a lot more than people think. So instead of obsessing over having the best light on the market, I would rather have a decent light with multiple different modifiers that actually suits the setup that I want. And also, it's very important that I recommend that you use a Bowens mounting system. That's the most popular, is the standard, and because it gives you more flexibility later if you want to try different modifiers. And now for positioning, a very good rule of thumb is this. Put your key light at about 45 degrees angle from your camera and then 45 degrees above you. This is just really a solid starting point. It gives shape to your face, it looks natural, and it already looks much better than just having your overhead ceiling lights. And here's another small tip. Your key light doesn't always have to point directly into your face. Sometimes it looks better if the hotspot of the light is a little bit off, so the light feels softer and a little more natural on your skin. So turn it away a little bit from you. So that's the key light. Then if you want to make the image look more polished, add a rim light, fill light, or a hair light from the opposite side. The point here is not to overpower the image, it's just to create separation. A little bit more shape, a little bit more depth, and a little bit more pop from the background. And this does not need to be intense. Sometimes even something like 10% can already be enough, depending on your setup. And remember, you don't want to have a second key light, and you don't want it to be fighting the first one. You just want that extra separation. After that, you can worry about lining the rest of the scene. And for me, that's the right order. First, light yourself properly, then light the scene. That part is really important. Get your key light right first, then your fill light or your rim light, and only after that, start adding lights to your background with practicals, accent lights, or whatever you want to use. Because, you know, if your face still doesn't look good, it doesn't matter how cool the background looks, it's just not gonna be great. Now, when it comes to the practicals, this is where you can have more fun. You can use your lamps, tube lights, small RGB lights, accent lights, and whatever works in your space. I like practicals because they can add color and more depth to the background. But remember not to make them too distracting. If they get too bright, people start looking at the lights instead of listening to what you're saying. Now let's talk about background and framing. And my recommendation here is very simple. Either use a background that actually relates to what you do, or use something clean and more neutral. So for example, if you make videos about cameras, tech, photography, or video gear, it makes sense if the background supports that. Like me, that I have my gear behind me. And if it's not possible for you, then just keep it organized so it doesn't feel random or confusing. The other thing, and a very important tip here, is separate yourself from the background as much as you can, like physically separate yourself from it. That gives you more depth, and if you stand too close to the wall, everything feels a little bit more flat. If you create some distance, the image feels more intentional, and you have more background blur and looks more cool. And if your room is small, using the corners or the diagonal of the room can help a lot to create more depth and make the space look bigger. I also recommend using a wider angle lens if your room is small. Okay, now let's talk about audio. And honestly, audio is huge. I think I should have mentioned that in the very first beginning. I really think that if audio sounds trashy, distorted, or badly recorded, it's very likely that people are going to skip your video, even if the video has good information and it's being well recorded. So if you can improve one thing early on, audio is one of the best places to start. For this kind of content, my simple recommendation is this: get yourself a wireless microphone system like this one. Yes, I know there are more advanced ways to record audio, like using audio interfaces, shotgun microphones, external recorders, XLR microphones, and all of that, trust me, is great. But if your goal is to make better talking head videos without overcomplicating everything, a wireless system is one of the easiest upgrades you can make. And the key with audio is this: get the mic close to your mouth, speak clearly, and set your levels right. About this, what I've learned so far is that a good target is having your voice land around -10 to -15 dBs when you speak normally, so you have just some space when you want to raise your voice. If your voice level is too low, the room noise starts competing more with your voice. And if you need more gain, raise it carefully, because more gain also means more noise. So before adding more gain, make sure that you're speaking loud enough. And again, the cleaner the audio is from the beginning, the easier everything becomes later in post. Now, I'm gonna share a quick tip with S-Log on Sony because I know this part confuses a lot of people. I see a lot of people repeat the advice of overexposing by 1.7 or +2 in the multimeter. And I'm not saying that that's always wrong. In some situations, that can work. But the thing that I really want to share is this: don't follow that rule blindly. If the scene is evenly lit, okay, maybe it works fine. But if your scene is uneven, like a strong key light on you and the rest of the room is darker, then chasing a +2 in the multimeter can push you into overexposing parts of the image, your skin tones. So in my Sony setup, I prefer using zebras and a gray card for reference and expose it that right, so my skins are protected. First, I set the exposure correctly for the key light, then I set the white balance, and only after that, I do start adding lights to the rest of the scene. That order matters. And one more thing, if your light says it's set to a certain Kelvin value in the temperature output, I still wouldn't just trust that blindly. At least in my setup, I still measure white balance in camera because the actual result can be a little different depending on the light that I'm using and how it's been used. So let me give you the full order one more time, simple and quick. Choose your background, place your camera, and decide your framing. Then turn only your key light and expose yourself correctly. After that, you can set your white balance. Then add your fill light or your rim light, and after that, you can add your background lights and your practicals. And finally, make sure that your audio is clean and your mic is placed correctly. And that's pretty much it. If you get those things right, you already have a very solid base for making better videos without overcomplicating everything. So yeah, I hope this helps. I know the learning curve can be a little slow at the beginning, and if I can help you skip some of those early mistakes, then that's the whole point of this video. If you want, the next video can be something more specific: camera settings, S-Log exposure, or audio editing in post. Let me know in the comments what you want to hear about. But for now, if you can get white balance, lighting, background, framing, and your audio right, you already are in a good place, in a really good place. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.